Hey everybody, welcome to my suburban oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden in Zone 6A in mid-Michigan, and today is our day for our garden walkabout and tour. And I have actually been out down for the count with a little bit of a virus for quite some time now, and the garden has been healthy though, so I'm really happy to show you what's going on because we have so many blooms around the yard. It's really in full force with all of the phlox and all of the poolside planters. So let's start by taking a walk around the pool and take a look at what's going on here. So all of the poolside planters have really come into fullness. I have been really pleased with them. It definitely took a few weeks for them to come into their own, but these planters on either side of the end of this pool are really gorgeous with that ice bog rosemary and then the magenta petunias. Aren't those gorgeous? I feel like they filled out really well. And on either side of this half moon garden, they look gorgeous. Now I also have started to see some blooms on our hibiscus here. This is the evening rose hibiscus. And next week will be the week when we'll probably start to see more of the blooms beginning to come around. But right now they're definitely starting. And we even have some blooms on the Rose of Sharon over here. This one is the lavender chiffon variety, and I'm going to try to keep this one small. I clipped this one back earlier this year so that I had kind of a small tree form to it, 3 or 4 stems at the base, and then let it leaf out above that. And it's doing really well, and I want to keep that just a little bit shorter than the Tian Shen 7 sunflower trees, which should get to be about 12 to 15 feet tall. So I think that the Rose of Sharon will be a really nice kind of understory to that in creating layers within this garden. And our geraniums over here are just blooming their heads off. But you can also see behind it the glowing privet, which has put on an awful lot of growth in the last couple of weeks. And I really do need to get out here and do some trimming, and I need to do some deadheading as well on the geranium. But I think that it's a gorgeous look right now anyways with the bright colors. You can see the potager is getting a little out of control here. I have a mustard plant that is going to go to seed if I don't get it out soon. So I really need to get in here and clean out this particular garden bed. I was waiting for the red Russian kale to go to seed so that I could collect that and seed that in and amongst the strawberries. But I do need to clean that up. This garden bed is looking good, and you believe it or not, we have still lots of blooms on the snapdragon going on right here with that black prince snapdragon. And then our jazzberry petunias that we recently planted before the garden tour are looking pretty along this border. And the smoke bushes are just glowing right now. We also have lots of phlox that are beginning to open throughout the garden, and I shouldn't even say beginning to open. They actually are all pretty well open at this point. This one is a David phlox, a very nice bright white phlox that is mildew resistant, and it smells amazing. It has a great fragrance to it. So I have that in a couple areas throughout the garden, and it just has a beautiful panicle bloom, just similar to hydrangeas. And we have this sweet romance lavender that is really blooming its head off now, and the one over here is a little bit slower, but they're still looking really gorgeous and they smell wonderful too. We've got some nice buds on several of these, so I think this one's going to catch up to the other one pretty soon. Then we have this gorgeous strawberry Sunday hydrangea over here, which is just full as full can be. We haven't had any blooms on this clematis, but it has looked really healthy and has clambered its way throughout this hydrangea, so I was really hoping we would see some blooms on that because I don't even know which variety that one is. Well, I did some refurbishing on this beautiful old table that I got from my grandmother. It was made out of wrought iron and was rusting quite a bit. So I did some wire brushing and cleaned it up, and I think it looks really good. And I'm just so happy to have it. Our planters are doing well over here. with our blue star junipers. And our tomatoes are great. I've got lots of bunches of green tomatoes right now, just hoping they end up getting ripe soon. Should be any time now. I have a panicle hydrangea back here. This one hasn't bloomed yet. This one we planted just last fall as a quart, and it is the Firelight Tidbit, so it should stay rather small. I was hoping we'd get some blooms on that this year, but it looks like we might not. Probably not until next year, but that's okay. This garden bed is really starting to lighten up and look great as we have the little limes coming into the bloom in the back here. That limey green color is just so beautiful. And I love the colors of the Russian sage coming through it as well. You see those spires next to the fluffy blooms of that limey green. And we do have that oregano blooming in the lady now. And you can see how small the little blooms are within those beautiful bracts. So let's wander on over here and take a look at this border, because it's looking lovely right now with the hydrangeas that are smooth, that are going over in our beautiful limey color. But yet we also have some different colors from other hydrangeas happening as well. This one is the Strawberry Sundae. And then next to it, we're getting some reblooming on the Boom Chocolata geranium right here. Just look at that gorgeous foliage. I mean, you wouldn't even have to have the blooms to enjoy that foliage. You can see we have more blooms on the other Strawberry Sundae hydrangea in this garden bed right now. And our sedum is putting on some little buds. And I'm going to be coming through and harvesting some of these blooms because they have begun to turn that kind of papery type feel, which means that they are hardening off, and I can put them in a vase of water and just keep them to dry for the winter time and enjoy those. The pink diamond hydrangea is amazing. I just love the contrast of that between that and the 9-bark that's next to it. I think I can probably take the stake off now. Either that or I need to do it a little bit better. Boy, I tell you what, how are your mosquitoes this year, guys? Ours are horrible. They're everywhere all the time. I sprayed before I came out to do this garden tour for myself. And I didn't spray the garden, but they're just all over me anyways. These Pollinatorias have really gotten much more robust and filled out since the last time we've been through the garden. We've had a little bit drier weather now, a lot drier weather I should say, because it was raining almost every day for quite some time there. But these are the spot-on Pollinaria and they look great. Still no blooms on our Jetstream hydrangeas, which I do believe bloom on old wood, even though I had seen somewhere that they said they bloom on new wood as well. I don't think that's the case because I'm not getting any buds anywhere, but the leaves look gorgeous and we should get some beautiful fall color on these this year, regardless of whether they bloom or not. Can you hear the birds? The birds are like, you're right by our house. Here's the Pinky Winky hydrangea that we have here. This one is just starting to turn pink. It's primarily white right now. I really wanted to take you guys into the way back garden, but because of the mosquitoes, I still can't do it. I literally am gonna get bitten up probably, even though I sprayed myself. Now on the left here, we have the Phlox that are fully in bloom right now in this gorgeous pink that just lights up the garden. And we have them repeated down a little further as well. And as long as we're over here, let me just show you the pots that we have on this side of the pool because they look amazing. This is that jazzberry petunia. And then we have more of the magenta petunia with that sword yucca. And some vinca in with the little dwarf Alberta spruce. And more jazzberry petunia with Grandma's Blessings rose. It's a very bright color. So we have lots of different colors, but we've also just taken the time to repeat those colors so that even though they are different, we still have that repetition so that it's not too much. Our little haughty hydrangeas are starting to bloom over here, and I think they look gorgeous. I love where they're at. They definitely have probably twice as many blooms as last year. So I'm looking forward to them filling out because they're only about a third of the way budded out now. We could actually use a rain about now. This little dogwood back here has really put on so much growth this year. I'm going to have to be very careful about pruning it late winter so that I can make sure that I make the best of the shape of that tree, because I really want to eventually take out this buckthorn tree that's above it so that I don't have to worry about all of the little seedlings that come from it, and the dogwood is going to be so much more beautiful as well. Our little pot of impatiens back here is doing great. I'm really happy that we planted that up. I think it's a nice little pop of color in the back here. And those little haughty hydrangeas, just look how they light up the shade garden. And these get afternoon sun, so I would consider them being in part sun. Our can-do hydrangea has put out some nice new blooms down here. And our hostas are still looking pretty good. I definitely need to come through here and do some deadheading. We've had some Japanese beetles in our garden. I wonder how many of you are having struggles with those as well. They definitely are on like my hibiscus and rose of Sharon and different plants throughout the garden. I will need to, as I come through and work in this garden bed, prune up this espalier apple tree, which definitely got the rest this year because of all the rain that we've had. But this firelight, look at it, isn't that gorgeous? So amazing. I love this one. It's like the quick fire, but a little bit more full. And the wasps and the bees and pollinators really love it. We're getting a bloom now on this April night salvia. This is the second bloom cycle for it. Can you see all of the mosquitoes? I don't know if you can see them in the camera, but they're everywhere. It's crazy. They're just swarming me. I'm so happy with this Fothergilla and how much it has grown back. You guys, this was just down to nubs, and I didn't think it was going to come back like this, but it sure is a happy bush. That is so fantastic. I saw a couple of maple trees today that had turned colors. Have you seen anything like that in your area? I mean, things are just kind of doing the strangest things because of the weather that we've had this year. We've had lots of cool and wet rain, and then we get warm, but not super warm here. And then I know some people have been having like really, really hot spells. It's kind of crazy to me this year how the weather has been so different in different parts of the country. These planters have just gone to town, so I'm really happy with how they've been doing. And you can see we've got some wonderful blooms from the hydrangeas in the long border here. And right down near the fountain. And I want to show you the Diamond Rouge. The Diamond Rouge did not have a lot of great blooms last year, but this year it's looking amazing. It's also very much like the Quickfire in that it has a little bit more of a lace cap feel to it. And I think that this Roseanne geranium looks beautiful creeping through this firelight. Look what we're getting on this bud Leah right now. Finally some blooms are starting on this Pugster blue butterfly bush. I'm so excited to see it bloom. The blooms are just gorgeous. Look how fluffy the vanilla strawberry hydrangea is. It's probably about, I would say 7, maybe 8 feet. It's supposed to get 6 to 8 feet tall, I think. Just looks amazing. And the Strawberry Sundae one looks great too over here. Our Millennium Alliums are starting to bloom, and the pollinators just started taking notice today. So even before the buds are open on them, the pollinators are swarming them, waiting for them to open because they love them so much. Now this is the Berry White Hydrangea, another panicle hydrangea with blooms that are so huge. It's almost like they have separate blooms on each bloom. It's kind of crazy. It's gorgeous. And the Quickfire has changed color. Some of it's still white, but all the pollinators love this one. We get all sorts of like predatory wasps and things like that that are beneficial insects to the garden on it. It's fantastic. Our topiaries are looking great. They have really filled out. I do need to come through and prune. You can see they're getting a little bit fuzzy on the top here with some new growth. Not too bad. Let's check out the front garden. Well, here we are through the garden gate, and you can see the Liatris hedge now is just about over, but it has been like a month of blooms, so it has been quite fantastic. And this fern just never continues to, it just never disappoints. I mean, it just continues to go and go. And we have a Strawberry Sundae hydrangea back here that looks amazing. That one did get some deer nibbles on it. I haven't been out protecting from the deers because of the COVID that I had. So I feel like I've been pretty lucky. You'll see I definitely have some damage on some hostas, but nothing that much more than what was already present before I got sick. So how about these coneflowers? They just continue to bloom so well. And now they're joined by the mums, creating a tapestry of colors. And the grasses back here are starting to blow in the wind. Isn't that beautiful? I just love these. They have those gorgeous little seed heads on them. They haven't really splayed out yet the way that they do when they really bloom, but that's coming soon. And again, the pollinators just love these coneflowers as well. Not a lot out right now as we head towards dusk, but they are out during the day in the heat of the day. The Gara is really starting to bloom now. This is the Beliza dark pink Gara. And I see we got a seedling down here, and then part of it looks like it's kind of reverting actually to some other form of Gaura, so I'll have to kind of get rid of those stems so that it doesn't, because I really like the color of the foliage. The new growth on this is just as pretty as some of the flowers. And it's kind of like a grass in that it blows in the wind, but it's very still outside right now, so nothing's really moving a whole lot. This garden bed is chock full of them, chock full of coneflowers. And it's a bit warm out here in this garden bed, so you'll see there's a few more pollinators that are still out and active and wandering around. The bumblebees just love these coneflowers. Well, the front garden bed is looking amazing with the bobo hydrangeas. I just love how fluffy they look this time of the year. They really look so beautiful, so delicate and frothy. And the sedums are beginning to bloom along with the millennium alliums right here. But just look at the delicate looking blooms on these bobos. They're like lace. And they look gorgeous up against these orange rocket barberries, which are getting a little bit wide. I'm definitely going to prune those up. We have more coneflowers that are underneath of this weeping cherry. Those always come out in late summer, which is a really nice pop of color up underneath of there. It's amazing how sometimes we can grow things that are what you think of as sun plants and shade plants in a similar area. I have some berries on the wabi-sabi viburnum right here. Those are very colorful. Our daisies are just going over here. These were our goldfinch daisies. And you can see it's time for me to come through and do some deadheading. We'll see if we get any more blooms after that. I'm not sure that we will, but it's always worth tidying up anyways because it looks so much better. So let's take a look up near the house. Well, the shade up here by the house has treated these ferns so well, and the carex is doing so well. I'm just happy as punch because I finally feel like we've got this area a bit under control for the rest of the summer. It can just continue to grow, and the impatiens can just continue to provide that nice bright pop of color. I love my moss garden. My moss garden has just continued to bring me joy. And look at this firelight. This firelight panicle hydrangea is just glorious in the sunlight right now. This one has really pinked up. So you can see down the way here we got some damage on the hostas from the deer, unfortunately, but many of them are still looking great. I thought I was getting new growth on this pieris, but they're actually putting on buds for blooms. Now this is really early for that. That normally doesn't happen until fall, like before, when it's really cool and we're getting ready to go into winter. So I find that a little bit odd. Is anybody else growing pieris and seeing that happen with theirs? So here's where the deer damage is. Definitely lost quite a bit of hosta foliage to the deer over here. But on the bright side, our blue corner is doing really well. I think things really have perked up with the sun, and the grasses are starting to really settle in. You can see we have some of those reds and blues coming through, just gorgeous. And then these sedums are about to burst with some blooms, so that'll be pretty too. And these sky pencil hollies have put on some new growth this year, which has really made them a little bit more bushy. The new garden bed is doing okay. The evergreens are probably doing the best. Our shrubs out here, our little boxwoods that are variegated are doing great, but they could use a trim. I'm gonna wait until it's cooler though to do that. Our junipers and the weigela here are doing great. The begonias are not doing so great. They are not happy out here. They got way too much rain and then not enough rain, and it's just been kind of weird weather for them. Our crabapple, on the other hand, is doing quite well. It's even got some fruit on it here, you can see. So lots of things are looking good in the garden today. And look at our limelight starting to really show its blooms. None of the deer got that, so I'm happy with that. The Verbena bonariensis right here looks really great as a real foreground in this bird bath, and the texture around this bird bath, even though we have all green, looks fantastic to me. Well guys, it looks like the battery's trying to overheat on me quite a bit, so we're gonna go, but I appreciate you guys walking around the garden with me. I hope you guys are staying well, and I hope you're getting out in your garden, and we'll talk to you soon.